Hey, welcome to the stream, everybody. Matt Kame89 here. We are playing Emperor Rise of the Middle Kingdom. And I'm gonna do an open play. And we're gonna start a brand new map, and I'll show you how to play this game. If you're not familiar with this game, it is a city building game with a little bit of military, economics. And these were very popular in the mid to late 90s. Early 2000s, there were quite a bit of these city builders. They're not as frequent today, although I feel like they're starting to make a comeback. There are a couple new ones in the works in various years, but some of the other popular ones were Pharaoh, obviously the ancient Egyptians. There was the Romans with Caesar, which that game has had quite a bit. And there's been quite a bit of Roman era city builders, and this one here is based in ancient China, which is this is actually one of my favorite city builders. Played this as a kid, as a teenager, and it's just one of those games. It's not too crazy, kind of relaxing, fun to play. Definitely takes me back to my childhood. I spent many hours playing the campaign and building my own city. So we're going to do a random map here. We are going to start in the Steel Age, so it's going to be a late game, and just kind of seeing what we have here for resources. The cool thing about this game is you can actually build your own maps as well, and it seems like we may have a pretty decent map here. Again, this is all random. And kind of the things that I'm looking for is to see what it is that we have. So you can see some fish in the river here. That's going to play an important role, especially in that early game. And then you can see some wild boars here and also on the top here, and that's also going to play an important role. The other thing is we have a lot of empty flat land. It's going to make building a little easier. And this is our main road. This is where all of our migrants are going to be coming from. Pretty cool. And I'm just trying to see if there's anything else. It doesn't seem like we have much of resources as far as bronze or steel or anything like that, salt. So we're going to have to rely on a lot of agriculture here and a lot of trading in order to get what we need, because I'll show you real quick. There is a world map here, and as you can see, this is China here, and we do have other cities here. And even though we belong to the same nation, some of these cities are not very friendly. So we do have to build up a military, at least to defend our city. Otherwise, we can be conquered. So we want to avoid that. So we have to kind of balance building a great economy as well as building up a good defense so that other cities will not want to invade us. So I'm just kind of scouting here, seeing what's the best area to start off on. And I think we're actually going to start building in this area here. A lot of great open land so that we can start building our city. And I kind of want to do it in between where the fish is and the boars here, so that we can get some good food early on to build this city. So let me stop blabbing here so we can start building. That'll be a good starting point there. And let's see if we can just continue this road. Yeah, so you can see there's no way to actually continue the road here. So we're just gonna have to build it out and just extend it. Not really a big deal. I do like to build the roads as straight as possible so that we can avoid any delays in travel. And we're going to extend this out here. We're actually going to build out further. So it is going to take a little bit longer for the migrants to get in here. But not a big deal, not a big deal. And what I like to do when I'm starting off my cities is we want to build a straight road as possible and make it as long as possible, because as we get a little bit later on in the game, I'm going to explain how the game works a little bit. And it's good to have a nice open long road so that we can start building housing and everything that we need to build a nice thriving city here. So that is our well. That is what is going to provide water to our fine citizens of China. And that's a good starting point, I think. So plenty of housing. You do have to be a little careful, especially early on, because your housing, especially if they're this close, there is a fire hazard. So we do have to build these what's called inspector towers, and these guys just kind of go along, make sure your buildings are up to code, nothing's gonna fall apart, and any of that good stuff. And as you add these gardens, it is gonna beautify the city. You're going to notice that this well may change. Yep. And we can actually do that with the inspector tower as well. And what it does is it just makes the area a little bit more desirable. The boar has to get out of my way. And that might change as well. We may have to add a little bit more to get it going. There we go. So it just makes it look more appealing. People want to live nearby it and things like that. You can see our first migrants are coming into the city here, and our population is going to start growing. Really fun game. Like I said, I played this game quite a bit as a kid. Always enjoyed the city building games of that time period. Let me get out of there. And these things here, these are just roadblocks, kind of just keeps these guys from getting out too far, because you do want to kind of keep them where your buildings are. You know, you got this guy carrying water, you don't want him going all out in these areas where there's no housing, and really no need for him to go out there. Now what's cool is as we click on some of these, you can notice that it will give you some information insides here. So we currently have 26 people unemployed, and we have more people coming into the city, so that number is going to grow. We have a 74% unemployment rate, but don't be worried, that's actually going to go down quite a bit. Jobs will fill quickly, and in fact most of the time we're going to be wrestling with keeping unemployed people, because we want there to be a decent amount of unemployed, because if we get to the point where we need employees, it can be pretty disastrous for the city, and you'll probably end up seeing that. It typically happens. So we've already reached 100 people. That was pretty quick. And we need to start getting some food for these people. So we're going to start providing more jobs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a kind of an offshoot over here. And this will be more my industrial sector. So we're going to set up a hunting camp. Hunters 10 here, so we're going to provide some good jobs. You boys, and the cool thing about these resources here is they're not finite. So they'll keep respawning, so you don't have to worry about running out of them. And what we're going to do is we're going to need more inspectors. And I'm going to put him in an area where, well, first I'm going to put some roadblocks, because again, I don't want him going places where he doesn't need to go. So we're going to put an inspector tower right here. And these roadblocks will keep him from going in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build another offshoot here. And this is kind of where we're going to put our food buildings. And you notice I left a big area here, and I'm going to explain why I did that. And for the time being, we are going to put our mill over here. And what this does is, this is where all your food is stored. So right now you can see there's a worker here. You see him starting to move now. He's going to transport that to your mill. So all of your food types will go here. And let's see what we have. So we still have 33 people unemployed. We have room for 8 more people for housing. So let's get the... So the way that you distribute food is you build these common or grand market squares. Now for these types of housing here, we're only going to need a common market square. You're not going to need a grand market. The common one will suffice for these types of buildings. We're going to build it here. And yeah, it kind of makes this unattractive. So we're going to add a little bit more gardens here so that we can beautify it a little bit more. I like how that dragon fountain looks. And you'll notice that this is just a blank common place for them to get all their goods. We're going to add a shop, so we're going to add a food shop. Gotta wait for some more workers, and you're going to see what's going to happen once we get our food shop up and running here. See our inspectors doing their job. Another one here. Again, we have him blocked so that he's only going to go to areas that he needs to, make him more efficient. Unfortunately, I think that's the biggest drawback, especially with these earlier city building games, is the I guess how smart they are and knowing where to go on their own. So they're not always the brightest, and a lot of times your city will suffer because of that, so you have to kind of guide them. You can also build, and you can build like these walls and stuff to make it look prettier and things like that. So you can see the food shop went to the mill, grabbed the food that they needed, and now they're distributing the food. So you can see, even though he's kind of moving about, nothing's really happening with these houses. So if we look at it, if you right click on the house, it'll actually tell you what it needs to get to the next step. So we need an ancestral shrine. And we have 33 unemployed people still, so let's give them some jobs. We're gonna build a shrine here. We could do either on the back here. Now you're gonna notice that the colors will change based on the location. The game kind of gives you a bonus, so if you stick buildings, most of your buildings in the green area, it'll give you a bonus. So we'll do that. We'll put the ancestral shrine there. There'll be a priestess that will start walking around, and as it goes by, you're gonna notice that these houses will change when she starts walking by. So she's going the wrong way there. Hopefully she'll make her way back all the way down here, this way here. you're gonna notice that these houses are gonna start to change. So as you meet the needs of the people in these houses, they'll upgrade, and then in turn, before we had room for 8 people, now we got room for another 112 people. And as soon as you have more room for people, they will start to come back into the city. So if we look over here, there's a whole mess of people here that are coming into the city. And once this hits 0 for our housing, they will not come. So you can't have homeless people, they'll go somewhere else. So you'll start losing population, or you'll just stay stagnant. So the goal is to upgrade these houses. So we do have to provide for them. So right now the current goal, they are asking for plain food. And all that really means is that they want a variety of food. So they don't want to keep eating just the meat that they're getting here. They want some other stuff in order for them to go up. Now our unemployment, I know that for the real world that's really high, but for this game, you do want to keep your unemployment at a decent rate. You don't want it to be this high, but you do want to have some unemployment. It makes your life a little bit easier playing this game. So you see there's a lot of areas here where we can get some fish. So I do have to find a spot where I can get a dock. And we're probably going to have to build another inspector's tower just because it's so far out. But we do want to get some fish because it's a good way to get another source of food out here. We just got to figure out, because this setup here is kind of weird. So it's not really going to like anything here. So we may have to mess around. So I can build it there, maybe get a bridge across. Let me see. Yeah, so we can get a bridge across here. Clear out some of these trees. I don't want to clear out too much because we can put a logging shed here. And that will give us a resource that we can trade later on. So let's make sure this is going to work first. Boom. So every building does need a road, so we're going to have to clear this out and give it a road, otherwise it will not function. Now we have a fishing quay here, and we can start to begin getting fish. You can see they're already there because we have quite a bit of the unemployed, so we do need to get these people working. If it does stay too high for too long, eventually they will get to the point where they'll get angry. So no matter where we put this, it's yellow, so we're just gonna have to keep it that way. It is what it is. And we'll put it there halfway mark, and then we'll put a roadblock here. And that will give us another food type, and that will put us into the plain, and that will be enough for these houses to be able to gain. And as you can see, we're already at 0 housing, 308 people. Quite a bit for the unemployed. Alright, but that's going to go down because we're going to start building some farms. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to use this land here that we haven't really used yet. And we're going to make this our farming land. So that we can start growing things down here. And farms do require quite a bit of people. So we are going to do the hemp farm here. Let's kind of move it over a little bit. And we do have quite a bit of different types of food that we can build here. So even though this map doesn't have a lot of resources, it's got quite a bit that we can actually do as far as food anyways. So we're gonna have to find some cities that we can trade all this stuff to. So this is our hemp farm here, and if you right click it'll tell you how many. So 18 people is required for this to fully function. You can have less, but it'll be less efficient, so you'll get less hemp. And the hemp in this game is used for, I believe, some clothing items. It is used to make paper. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this area here for storage and trading centers. I'll build a warehouse over here. And the warehouse is where your resources is going to be stored. So the food will always go in the mill, and any of your resources like clay and hemp, that stuff will get stored in your warehouses. Let's see how we're doing in unemployment. 37 people. We're going to build a hemp shop. Now we've got a little bit of fish there already, so we should start seeing some improvement here. It's still showing bland, so we may not have enough fish yet in the market to bump it up to plain, which that'll change very shortly. You can see they're fishing down here. Yeah, like I said, this is it's one of those fun, relaxing games. As you can see, all my housing is built in a straight line. There's a reason for that. Again, it's that kind of the way the paths of them walking. If you have an ancestral shrine here and you have a road here and more housing there, it's very difficult for them to be smart enough to kind of walk around. So I just find in this game it's easy to build these nice long stretches where they can just go up and down. Because what happens is if, you have this lady walking multiple streets, eventually these houses, they get neglected and then they'll downgrade. And when they downgrade, it kicks out all of those people who are workers, and then it starts like this cascading trickle-down effect where it just becomes disastrous. And you start losing all these people, then you need workers, and then your production suffers because there's no workers, and it can take quite a bit to recover from that. So I try my best to keep these houses fully satisfied so that that doesn't happen, but it still happens. So you've got plenty of meat there, and it'll tell you actually how much you have. So with the current amount of food that we're making, we can support a population of 1,200 people, whereas we're at 308 right now. That's going to change quite soon, though. As soon as the fish starts getting into the... so we already got a current food of quality, so these houses should start changing. It looks like they want hemp now, so we got to wait for this to be delivered. And you can see there's a worker here already heading to the warehouse. Now the downside of having the warehouse all the way here is now where I gotta wait for this guy to bring it all the way here. The shop owner then has to go here. But I kind of like the aesthetic of having the farms away from the cities. Even if it makes things a little bit slower, just for me it looks nicer. Unfortunately, we have all these rocks here, but nothing good. Sometimes you'll have steel and things like that, but nothing. So eventually we're gonna have to import steel so that we can start making weapons, so that we can get some soldiers. Because we are going to need them. That I can assure you. Alright, so let's start getting some diplomats out here. This is my city here. Let's get some diplomats going out and see who wants to actually trade with me. Most of these are probably not going to want to trade, and that's fine. But we have to start seeing what these guys need, what we need, and what we can trade so that we can start building a decent economy. Alright, so we'll find out in a couple months. Let's take a couple months. It's not instant. You can say yes or no. And what do we got here?
It is with much honor that I am off on another
So
mission
those are
for the well-being of
the
our
diplomats
great
that I'm
city.
sending off. Pretty cool attention to detail there, so you can actually see them going off to the other cities there, and it's quite a bit of them because I'm trying to open up trade with everybody. Alright, so we had our first collapsed building, and look, it's here, which doesn't make much sense because I do have a building inspector. So he's clearly not doing his job. So what we're going to do is maybe force him to go more that way, so because we do need a fishing port. Yeah, see, it seems like he's not actually going over the bridge, and that's a bit of a problem. Alright, there we go. Good. Alright, for some reason it's saying I have far too little food, but looks like I got plenty of food there. And we can see some of the housing here has already gone up. So we have room for another 100 people or so. It's going to go up a little bit more as the appeal over here increases. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some gardens here, some backyard gardens, and that'll make the area a little bit more desirable. And you can see some of the houses actually changed after that. So we did have somebody accept our trade proposal. That's 2. Alright, so they are demanding music now. But we do have quite a bit unemployed, so we need to take care of that as well. And we're going to build a couple of silkworm sheds because we do want silk, because that is a high priced item. The great thing about farms is they don't require an inspector. You can see somebody rejected our trade agreement. Rejected. Most of them are going to be rejected. Some of the cities are just kind of hostile unless you bribe them. Well, we're going to start getting some sheds here. And this is going to give us the raw material that's going to be required in order to actually turn it into silk. And as long as we can get some trades with that, that will see our unemployed has gone down quite a bit. are at 400 people, almost at the 500 mark.
哇，这些蚕好漂亮。
And they are hard at work. And you can see here, he's stuck here because there actually is no room at the mill. Now there is one component to this game that I don't really like. There is this religion tab here, and basically you have these gods here that they require some sort of sacrifice in the form of goods. And you can see these three here, they're unhappy, and what happens is if you neglect them, they get angry, and when they get angry, they cause disasters to happen in your city. And even though I turned off natural disasters, these guys will still cause disasters. It's kind of the one thing I wish you could turn off. But in order to keep her a little bit happy, we're going to give her some meat. That's going to take away 4 bundles of meat. She feels neglected, she's no longer unhappy. And you can see it opened up the mill a little bit so that they can get some meat delivered. So something to keep an eye on, especially if you decide to get this game and wondering why your city is doing so well and all of a sudden there is a earthquake or flood or something that happens even though you turned off disasters. That would be the reason why. Alright, so we do still have quite a bit of high unemployment, so we're going to do some industry here because these trees are almost going to be ready. They're going to deliver. And we want to start spinning out silk. So industry. And you can see here there is a weaver. So we are going to do that. We're going to keep our industry here. I like to kind of keep them all together. We're going to build a weaver there. We're going to actually build 2 of them. So one farm will supply... technically, you can probably do 2 farms per 2. But I like to have extra resources to make sure we're good. Silk will play an important role later on. Because there is a different type of building that you can build, and this is this one here, the elite housing. And they do require silk, whereas the more common houses do not. But we are going to start building a lot of silk so that we can build up our economy, because we are going to have to buy steel and start creating weapons, and that also costs a good amount of money. Alright, so let's see, we did have 2 cities that were open to trading with us, and let's see what they buy. They buy wheat, cabbage, and weapons. And they sell rice, tea, wood, and steel, so we are going to need steel, so that will be good. And these guys buy wood, tea, silk, and spices, and sell steel. So this city here would actually be the better one for me to do, because we can sell wood and silk to them, and tea, I believe, as well. And I can buy steel. And if I need to, I can buy additional foods to get our foods up. So yeah, we're going to go with them. Guan. I think I pronounced it right. And they'll be able to satisfy all the needs. So let's see here. So in order to trade with other cities after you sign the trade agreement, you have to build a trading post. We're going to do that right here. And then from here we can actually do our buying and selling. So we are going to sell silk because I don't have a need for it at the moment. However, I do have a need for all that cash. You can see the silk here goes for $225 per bundle, which is great because that will easily pay for the steel that I'm going to need, as well as any food. And we're going to start doing some logging as well, so we might as well start selling that. At the moment, I don't need wood as well. And we are going to stop buying steel because I do need to start building weapons. So let's get that going. So we already have our silk in production. We have our farms here and our weavers here. And they'll automatically start loading what we're going to be selling on that trading post there. So let's make sure we have plenty of unemployed. We got 31 people unemployed for 17%. So we can start our logging shed. Build it right here. We'll start logging these trees here, and the cool thing is they'll regrow as well. So again, it's, even though it's kind of a small area, you don't have to worry too much because they'll regrow. And they're already at work. 17 unemployed, and for 9%, that is kind of on the lower side. So we are going to get that music going. People demand entertainment. So let's give the people some entertainment. And that will cause the houses to eventually upgrade again to allow for more housing. As you can see here, I've got 0 room for housing, unless I plop down new housing, but I'm not ready to do that yet, just yet. Let's keep this woman happy so she doesn't attack us. She is contented at the moment. Deliver more meat. And you can see we already have steel here. Loading up some more. Wood is already being sent out. And what I'm going to do is, now I'm at 9 unemployed because of the music. I'm going to wait a little bit before I build my weapons factory. We have to make sure that we can do it. We do have a weaponsmith here. And we're going to start building our military as well. But before we do that, we do need a government center, which requires a good amount of workers. So we have to get my unemployment rate up. You never want this to be non-unemployed. You always want to have unemployed people for a couple of reasons. You can keep your wages normal or low, and you don't risk the chance of losing so many workers that you lose so much productivity and all that stuff. And you can see we're starting to already have some silk there, so that's a good sign. Very fun, relaxing until disaster strikes. Until you get a nice, amazing city going, and then all of a sudden you make one mistake and that's it. You get these cascading effects that can be a little frustrating at times, but can be overcome with some patience. We do have music here now. We are always going to celebrate the New Year so that people remain happy. And looks like these houses need a herbalist. And we should have just enough unemployment for that. Some more gardens here. Make the place and as you can see, the houses have changed one more time. Some kind of nice housing. As he makes his way down there, he will start upgrading houses. You can see them moving out. Now we have enough room for 140 people, so we'll get over the 500 people mark. And let's see what the next upgrade is. Appetizing food. So we are going to have to get more variety here, which is fine. Because we should have a good amount of unemployment once those people come in. And we can start building a couple more farms over here. I mean, we got plenty of space here, so. Put some couple, maybe 2 farms here. Let's space it out as best we can. This game does have a map editor as well, so you can actually create your own maps. And back in the day, I used to make them very large, and every resource you can possibly have. And that way you have access to all the buildings and everything. But the standard maps are kind of balanced in the way so that you do have to rely on trading. You know, because not every city can produce steel. So some of the other cities become reliant on you, and you're reliant on them, so it creates a greater balance. You see a lot of people starting to move in now. Almost up to that 500 mark. We're at 470 right now. At 500 now. Employed is at 35%. So we can. What I'm probably gonna do is I'm gonna do another farm. So we do rice. We do wheat. Let's do some rice. And the buildings always need a path. Might fit another farm over here. And we got 18 people unemployed. We got room for about 48 more people. And the rice might be able to give us enough for the appetizing food. But let's, let's just get it over and done with. Let's just get another farm going. That way we don't have to rely on anybody else. So let's do, we can do wheat, soybean, millet. Let's do soybean. And we're still at 17 unemployed, 0 housing. Should change soon. I'm gonna stop buying steel for now. Just because we have so much for now. It's taking up my warehouse. weapons are also high-ticketed items, so worst case scenario, if we make too much weapons, we should be able to sell it. No problem. But I do need to get my unemployed up because I do need to start building some government buildings. Those are going to require quite a bit of population. One of the buildings alone requires 50 people. So we do need to get this, which shouldn't be much longer. We got rice coming. We have soybean, I think, coming. So that should give us what we need for the appetizing food. So we got tons of hemp, so we'll give her a nice big bundle to keep her pleased. Last thing I want is to have all this progress undone. And I just want a little bit more employed so we can start getting our government buildings up. So we're making weapons now. And once we get our government building up, we'll get to do the one thing that government does best, and that's collect taxes. Probably build our government stuff down here in this area. Like they keep them all separate. And I always do the New Year again, and we always got to keep people happy. So, and it doesn't cost that much. And our economy is actually doing pretty well, even with just the trade, no taxes. If we had our tax buildings up right now, let's see. It doesn't even tell me what we'd be making. At the moment. So we need ceramics. Alright, so we only have 3% unemployed. So we're gonna get to a point where we're gonna be a little bit inefficient here because we do need to get these houses. Either that or I start building another stretch of housing, which we could do. But I'd rather not. We could do another stretch of housing here if we wanted to. And essentially you'd be doing the kind of the same thing. You would be building another of these type of marketplaces and things like that. So we can do that. we can sort of mimic what we were doing here. Yeah, you can see we're already running into a problem of not enough employees. Not too bad, we only need one worker, but we do need clay and all that stuff, and then ceramics factory, so we do need quite a bit more people. Plus, I do want the government center, so we're looking at 50 people there. But as we're building, you know, a new residential center, we do need other buildings. And, yeah. So it's kind of a balance we have to find here. Our warehouse here is getting quite full. You can technically eventually get to a point, if you wanted to, you can build such a strong economy that you can outsource a lot of this stuff and just buy it through trade, and then you can free up all this land for, you know, more housing and things like that. You can build an economy that's built on importing and exporting. If you don't mind being less self-sufficient. The cool thing about the music is they do, I want to say, up to 3 market squares. So you don't have to build more of these until you exceed 3, I believe. Which is pretty cool. And we do need an ancestral shrine there, that's easy. I wish we had more unemployed though. Be better. We don't. We have housing for 40 people. Employed 8. That will go up. 74. We have our first fire, and it's not going to be good because I do not have an inspector on this side, which I need to take care of that. We should have one here. So this is kind of the reason why you don't want to have so many not unemployed people, because this fire is going to create a bit of homeless people. But I should have an inspector's tower on this side too. We are going to build it as far back as possible here. We do want to have room for more housing if possible. And we do need to clean up this debris here because it uglifies the city, if that's a word, and makes the area less desirable. So we do have enough people to get clay going, so we're going to do that. And we have a clay pit, and clay pit can be, looks like, as long as it's in an area where I guess it gets a lot of water, kind of put it anywhere. And we're making quite a bit of money on the silt and the wood. I think we were at 24,000 before, we're at 25, so we have a good economy going. And let's get that ceramics maker up. Right next door to the clay pit, that way we can get some production, some quicker turnaround. They'll deliver right there. We got housing for 13. That's gonna go up as soon as they put a house here. And we need some hemp. Let's see, we got 3 unemployed. Let's wait a little bit for that to go up. Get at least 10, and we'll build a hemp shop there. We got plenty of hemp. In fact, it's taken over 2 of my warehouses here. Let's see if the lady is still contented. She is. We got plenty of hemp, so let's do that. She is pleased. Alright, let's see. We should have a little bit more unemployed. 7. Let's do that hemp shop. Let's get these houses going so we can start building government buildings. Beautify this street here. This is where our government building is going to be. Make it look pretty. Looks like there's a fire somewhere, but I don't see anything. Everything seems to be going well. Maybe I'll put my palace here or something. She is exalted now. Make it look pretty. We're at about 700 people now. Let's see what we are for speed. 80%, it's pretty good. let's bump it up just a little bit more. Gotta get this going a little bit, and we can slow it down if we need to, but I do want to start building my armies. I feel like it's kind of late already in the game. We've done a really good job economy-wise. I think housing and all that stuff is going well, but we've got nothing to protect ourselves, so all this can be taken away rather quickly. We are going to need some ceramic shops. Now, unemployment and housing is going to jump up quite a bit once the ceramic goes, because now we got housing for 122, but once these upgrade, it's going to jump up quite a bit. See, they're starting to upgrade here, and we're at 339 for housing. Really sure why these okay, so they want some beautification here, so to make it look a little prettier. We're going to slow down here on this side because that is 359 for open housing. That's quite a bit of people in a short amount of time. So we should have no problem to start building our government buildings. So I'm going to do that now. Inspector tower. Yes, celebrate the new year. I'm gonna put Inspector tower there, kind of block them in. Collapse building. Okay, so that's not good because that is our ceramic. So let's slow down a little bit. Drop back down to 80. Let's get this place looking good. So we got some collapsed buildings, which I don't really understand because I do have an inspector tower right there. But let's get this back up. That is our clay pit. Just hit over 1,000 people in the city. Where are you? Let's see where we're at. So we're at 93 unemployed, so we got quite a bit of people unemployed, which is for what I need right now is a good thing. Let's get another inspector here. I am going to build another kiln because that is one of the things that again, if we do not produce enough ceramics, what's going to happen is these houses will downgrade, create a massive decrease in population in a short amount of time, to the point where it makes things very difficult. So we don't want that to happen. So we do want to make sure that we are producing enough ceramics, which you can see kind of a visual cue here in my warehouses. There's not a lot there, and ceramics 172, that's not a lot. So we need to get our ceramics boosted up before it causes any problems. You'll see here, if we right click on the houses, this has 10 ceramics. It's not going to last too long, so it needs more. Apparently we break a lot of dishes. This is our government building, so now that we have that up, we can actually build a couple of different buildings. We could start building our military, which I think we're going to do that. I think that would be wise. And they're going to start taking these weapons and start training soldiers. It does take time, so they're not instant. But they will start training soldiers, and we're going to start seeing soldiers here. And then we'll also build a tax collector, but before we do that, we do need to have a paper maker. So let's put that now. Paper maker. And that is going to turn the hemp into paper, in which we can have our tax collector. We'll put him down here. And he will start collecting taxes. So not only are we collecting revenue from the trade that we're doing, we're going to start collecting revenue. Right now, all these people have been living for free, tax-free. But they made the foolish decision to allow a government to be installed. So now they're going to have to pay taxes. Even though technically we don't really need it, but in the long game we may need it. It's good to have. You always want an influx of cash coming in. Especially if we get to a point, I don't know much longer I'm going to continue this. But if we get to a point where cities begin to get hostile and we don't have the military to defend ourselves, then we can bribe them, and usually those bribes are not cheap. So. Alright, she's joyful. Let's see what we got. We got a lot of hemp. I don't really want to give her 12 bales. She's exhausted. Keep her happy. Still have people coming into the city. We're at 1,100. We got housing for 30 more people. We got an unemployment of 70 people. Hold on 1 second. Let me let my cat in. I know this game isn't extremely exciting, but I enjoy it. Time does go quickly playing it. It's one of those games that are massive time sucks, but I enjoy playing it. You know, we do have a massive unemployment rate, so I think I am going to add another mill. So we do have people waiting. Rice just sitting there. And you can see our military here is starting to grow. And we can actually build.
He keeps the old akindle and adds new knowledge is fit to
A
be a
palace
teacher.
here if we wanted to. Squeeze it in here a little bit. That takes 30 people, so that takes care of a good amount of our unemployment, but we should still have a little bit there. And building the palace is going to allow us to build another fort, so we can either do cavalry we have crossbow, cavalry. Let's do some crossbows. And I think that's the maximum that you can build. For some reason it doesn't let you build more, and I don't think there's a way past it without modding the game, which is weird. Because a lot of times when you get attacked by another city, they usually have three. They'll have infantry, cavalry, and catapults. So I don't understand why I can't build. They should allow you to build all four of them if you wanted to. I think there's a way to get her to actually appear in the city too if you get them. I'm gonna try and build some of those higher end housing maybe around here. Otherwise we can actually do it here too. Yeah, so that's pretty much the gist of the game. Not crazy complicated. Economy is doing very well. See how much we're collecting in taxes already. Yeah, just in taxes alone, make about $800. Which our expenses about $700, so we're making profit just on collecting taxes, never mind what we're selling and trading out here. And we're almost about 30,000. So I think I'm going to save it here, and you know, if this ends up being a video that ends up doing well, then maybe I'll do it again and talk a little bit more. We'll save this live stream. And if you're watching this after the fact, thanks for checking out the channel and the video. I do live streams quite often of random games. I don't really have a set schedule, so I should probably get a little bit better with that. And I typically do playthroughs as well, random games. Typically older stuff. I might end up doing some newer things. I did put out a poll and kind of surprised by the results. Did have quite a few people say that they want to see a little bit more modern stuff from the streaming, so I'll probably do that as well. But thanks for stopping by, and if you're not already subscribed, make sure to do so, and click that notification button. That way you get a notification every time I go live. And as always, happy gaming, and God bless.